My name is Madison Gilbert, and this is my final review. This is a perspective view of the final model that draws you into the composition and into the conversation of how this came to be, being the design process which I will explain in the slides that follow. This process begins with this assignment where I observed my hand in 18 different positions and generated contour drawings to describe them. This led to discoveries about space, geometric order, and proportions within the hand and its relationship to the surface. Also, each drawing focuses on one part of the hand, which can be seen through the level of detail or line weight in order to create hierarchy and contrast. I chose this contour drawing to move forward with because it is the richest in terms of quality of the drawing and gesture of the hand. The next step was to translate the contour drawings from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions using wire. The hand was made out of one continuous piece of wire in order to relate and connect each part of the hand together and understand these integrated relationships. The wire hand is abstract in that only some details and geometries of the hand were included in order to emphasize their importance and create hierarchy. To further investigate the hand, we studied its form under the influence of light and had to consider the orientation of the light source, position of the hand relative to the ground, and position of the hand relative to the light source. These were the 2 iterations I decided to move forward with because they reveal the richest qualities of both the wire hand and the cast shadow. Moving forward, I drew these 2 positions of the wire hand under the influence of light. The visual complexity and asymmetrical balance of the composition was very important and can be seen here through the position of the hand and shadow on the ground and through the hand in relation to the shadow. The drawings of the hand and shadow are a precondition to develop a field of regulating lines that are extruded out of the geometries of the hand and ground, and frame the hand in such a way that create hierarchies. I developed 3 iterations of regulating lines for each drawing of the hand, in which the red lines frame the border of the hand, the blue lines relate to the figure itself, and the orange lines focus in on and frame a specific detail of the hand. I use the geometries that the regulating lines represent to develop the design of the corners of the bounding box. More specifically, the design of the corners are extruded out of the geometries of the thumb to form a relationship between the bounding box and the hand. Using the regulating lines as a reference, I proposed 4 designs for the corners. Each corner design has varying kinds of contrast created by the combination or overlapping of the thicker and thinner pieces of wood that make up the corners. The elements of wood sticks also pass by each other to contribute complexity to the contrast and to allow for the later addition of cladding. The next step was to connect the corners to form the completed bounding box for the hand and rhino. Asymmetry, contrast, hierarchy, and transparency and movement are the main terms and themes I incorporated into my design and explain each decision I made in the process. I made a set of graphic instructions of how one would construct the bounding frame. This contributes to the understanding of the construction of the box in a systematic way and the relationships the pieces have with each other and with the box as a whole. The bounding box aids the addition of cladding, in which the design should frame views into the hand and form an integrated relationship between the hand, box, and cladding. When thinking about the design of the cladding, I evaluated the regulating lines that represent the hand in terms of the areas of contrast and visual hierarchy that guide your eye in a particular sequence, and use these results to decide where the cladding should be placed to further guide the eye. I further developed my bounding box by adding some additions because I realized that my first proposal was deficient in reflecting the inherent geometries of the hand and in serving as a base for framing views of the hand. Therefore, it did not allow for the cladding to be added in an effective way. I added additional frames of depth that frame views of the hand and create a visual hierarchy and create a network of lines that are interrelated to each other because they are extruded out of the geometries of the hand. This will allow for a more effective addition and placement of cladding. The cladding is added in position in areas of the bounding box that are visually activated by the spatial relationships. Within these areas, the cladding contributes richness and complexity to the visual hierarchies created by the box and the hand, while also creating new layers of contrast by manipulating tone and opacity and how the layers of cladding overlap. The overlapping and placement of the cladding creates a visual hierarchy that, combined with the openings that frame privileged views, initiates and regulates a visual perception through and around the bounding box. The cladding will be attached to the box by thread and wire that will be stitched in a way that mimics the regulating lines. This is the physical bounding box assembly that reveals the influence of light. This is the plan in 3 sections of the wire hand assembly to illustrate what the privileged views reveal. This is the final step, was to site the bounding box assembly on a pedestal within a defined space with an opening that aids entrance. Starting with the image in the upper left, this is the view one would have as they begin to approach the space, and that the opening reveals only a portion of the box to guide the eye without revealing the entire box right away, so it leaves some intrigue. As one continues to move closer, more of the box and pedestal is revealed, in which the design of the pedestal that reflects the geometry of the box guides one to move to the left and continue around. The design of the pedestal allows for light to pass through and is positioned off-center to create asymmetrical balance. And this is the procession in the form of a gift that I hope will lead to a discussion and conversation about the frames of depth that create privileged views in the areas of contrast and that create a visual hierarchy that all contribute to this procession. Thank you.